studying Canto 3, the status quo, chapter 11, verses 16 through 28. They're very scientific. Yesterday when Maharaj was teaching us, I got really overwhelmed. I thought we were in a science class. And I was so glad I was just making garlands because I'm a simple person. And it was overwhelming for me because this knowledge is so vast and over my head. So I'm most honored to be able to present it, mostly by reading. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai wherever Srimad Bhagawatam is spoken daily, that place becomes a holy place. So our Guru Maharaj has created holy places all over the world, because every single day in every single temple we study the scriptures and we study Srimad Bhagawatam, which is about the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And today's special day is we're celebrating the month of Damodar, and it's a very beautiful month where we are celebrating this picture right here, and there's a little deity on the altar, where God himself agrees to be bound by the love of the devotee. Can you imagine that the Lord himself is purchased by our love? So this is a month in which we celebrate that the Lord agrees to be bound by our love. But it's never easy, because even his own mother was trying to surround him with that love. And always it was just coming up a little short, just a little short. And he squeezes every little bit out of us. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vidura Uvacha Vitrideva Manushana Vitrideva Manushana Ayu Param Idam Smritam Ayur Param Idam Smritam Paresham Gatim Achaksva Paresham Gatim Achaksva Yeshu Kalpad Bahir Vida Yesur Kalpad Bahir Vida Vidura Uvacha Pitri Deva Manushana Ayur Paramidam Smrita Paresham Gatim Achaksva Yeshu Kalpad Bahir Vidaha Vidura Uvacha Vitrideva Manushana Ayur Paramidam Smritam Paresham Gatim Achaksva Yesu Kalpad Bahir Vidaha. Anyone else?
Vidura Uvacha Vitrideva Manushanam Ayuparamidam Smritam Paresham Gatimachakshva Yesu Kalpad Bahir Vidaha
Kalpadbahirvidaha
Yeshuvadvadahirvidaha
Vidura uvacha
Vidura uvacha
Pitrudeva Manushanam
Pitrudeva Manushanam
Ayuparamila Smritam
Ayuparamita Smritam
Parisham Gatim Akashva
Parisham Gatim Akashva
Yeshu Katpa Bahirvida
Yeshuvadvadahirvidaha Vidura uvacha Vidura said. It looks like the arrows won't work. There we go. P3. The Pita planets. Deva. The heavenly planets. Manushana. And that of the human beings. Ayur. Ayu. Duration of life. Param. Final. Idam. In their own measurement. Smritam. Calculate. Paresham. Of the superior living entities. Gatim. Duration of life. Achakshva. Kindly calculate. Yea. All those who. Shu. Are. Kalpat. From the millennium. Bahi. Outside. Vida. Greatly learned. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who translated up in the rooms upstairs, so please make sure you get to see those rooms upstairs. He lived here. It's only one of 7 memorial tirthas where Srila Prabhupada lived and translated the scriptures for us. Vidura said, I now understand the life durations of the residents of the Pital planets and heavenly planets, as well as that of the human beings. Now kindly inform me of the durations of life of those greatly learned living entities who are beyond the range of a kalpa. A kalpa is like, we have 4 seasons in a year, but a kalpa is 4 periods of time that are millions of years long. Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and this age of Kali that we're in now. Those 4 ages comprise a kalpa. So it's similar. It's like a microcosmic year and a macrocosmic kalpa, Purport. The partial dissolution of the universe that takes place at the end of Brahma's day does not affect all the planetary systems. The planets of the highly learned living entities like the sages Sanaka and Brigu are not affected by the dissolutions of the millenniums. All the planets are of different types, and each is controlled by a different Kala chakra or schedule of eternal time. The time of the Earth planet is not applicable to other more elevated planets. Therefore, Vidura herein inquired about the duration of life on other planets. I'm just going to read the translation. O spiritually powerful one, you can understand the movements of eternal time, which is the controlling form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because you are a self-realized person. You can see everything by the power of mystic vision. Those who have reached the highest perfectional stage of mystic power and can see everything in the past, present, and future are called Tri Kalagyas. Similarly, the devotees of the Lord can see everything clearly that is in the revealed scriptures. The devotees of Lord Sri Krishna can very easily understand the science of Krishna, as well as the situation of the material and spiritual creations without difficulty. Devotees do not have to endeavor for any yoga siddhi or perfection in mystic powers. They are competent to understand everything by the grace of the Lord, who is sitting in everyone's heart. Maitreya said, "Oh, Vidura, the 4 millenniums are called Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga. The aggregate number of the years of all of these combined is equal to 12,000 years of the demigods." And as we had just heard, the demigod years are a lot longer than ours. Their concept of time is much more different. It's like when Lord Brahma just left for a couple of moments and came back, a whole year had passed in our time. So his time is calculated differently than our time. Purport: the years of the demigods are equal to 360 years of humankind, as will be clarified in the subsequent verses. 12,000 of the demigod years, including the transitional periods which are called Yuga Sandhyas, comprise the total of the aforementioned 4 millenniums. Thus, the aggregate of the above-mentioned 4 millenniums is 4,320,000 years. See what I mean? It's really inconceivable. Translation: the duration of the Satya millennium equals 4,800 years of the years of the demigods. The duration of the Treta millennium equals 3,600 years of the demigods. The duration of Dwapara millennium equals 2,400 years, and that of Kali millennium is 1,200 years of the demigods. And that being said, there have been astrological configurations, celestial configurations that have been spoken about in the Bhagavatam, that certain things took place when these celestial events were happening, and they are traceable, and the scientists have proved that it was accurate. So the science here, although it's inconceivable, my mind has a very hard time wrapping it around itself. There are really smart people who are proving these things. Purport: as aforementioned, 1 year of the demigod is equal to 360 years of the human beings. The duration of the Satya Yuga is therefore 4,800 times 360, or 1,728 years. The duration of the Treta Yuga is 3,600 times 360, or 1,296 years. The duration of the Dwapara Yuga is 2,400 times 360, or 8,064 years. And the last, the Kali Yuga, is 1,200 times 360, or 432,000 years. It's very long. And this is the short period, 432,000 years. This is a short one. The transitional period before and after every millennium, which are a few hundred years, as aforementioned, are known as Yuga Sandhyas. Sandhyas are where you're going from one, like evening to night. It's the transitional period. Sandhis are the in-between sections, or the conjunctions of 2 millenniums, according to the expert astronomers. In those periods, all kinds of religious activities are performed. Why is that? Because when we go through changes, when we're when we go through changes, we're usually a little confused about what's happening. So we dedicate ourselves most intensely to the Lord again, so that no matter what we end up, what kind of change we've gone through, we remain dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because that is certain. The change is not certain, but that dedication to the Supreme is certain. O Vidura, in the Satya millennium, mankind properly and completely maintained the principles of religion, but in other millenniums, religion gradually decreased by one part as irreligion was proportionately admitted. In the Satya millennium, complete execution of religious principles prevailed. Gradually, the principles of religion decreased by one part in each of the subsequent millenniums. In other words, at present, there is only one part religion to 3 parts irreligion. Therefore, people in this age are not very happy. This period is meant for us to really dedicate ourselves completely to the Lord, because it is a hard period, a very difficult period. So, dedicating ourselves completely and fully to the Lord. The one part religion that's left standing is honesty. We still find some honesty in this world, and we need to be very careful that we are honest. So we're maintaining at least what's left of this during this age of Kali, that we are honest with ourselves and honest with others, that our words are true. It's so important. Outside of the 3 planetary systems, Svarga, Martya, and Patala, the 4 yugas multiplied by 1,000 comprise one day in the planet of Brahma. A similar period comprises a night of Brahma in which the creator of the universe goes to sleep. When Brahma goes to sleep in his nighttime, the 3 planetary systems systems below Brahmaloka are also submerged in the water of devastation. In his sleeping condition, Brahma dreams about Garbhodakshay Vishnu and takes instruction from the Lord for the rehabilitation of the devastated area of space. It's just like a high tide. It reclaims the land. I know when I lived in Vrindavan, when the river is way down, the farmers quit and they just grow rice right in that area because there's still a lot of water. And then the river comes up and then the rice is finished. They harvest it right before that. So they take advantage of everything, of all the cycles of nature. And so at this point, Lord Brahma, he is taking instructions on how to rehabilitate the space that's been inundated by water. In the end of Brahma's night, the creation of the 3 worlds begins again in the daytime of Brahma, and they continue to exist through the life durations of 14 consecutive Manus, or fathers of mankind. At the end of the life of each Manu, there is a shorter dissolution. So it's just like the Serengeti forest. It burns down every year, and it regenerates. So this is just a process of creation. Part of it is destruction. Each and every Manu enjoys a life of a little more than 71 sets of 4 millenniums. The duration of life of Manu comprises 71 sets of 4 millenniums. That means those 4 ages, the kalpas, then he's living a life of 4 of those. So all that big math we just did, imagine that times 4. Manu he gives the laws to mankind. The duration of life of one Manu is about 852 years in the calculation of the demigods, so that's times 360. Or in the calculation of human beings, 306,720,000 years. Long lives.
A million. 360.
It's,
Million.
Oh yeah, it was million, what did I say?
A billion. You gave them a little extra.
Oh, okay, well, it's all inconceivable to me, I tell you what, my brain just goes.
That's 71 sets of 4 millennium.
Yes, it's huge. After the dissolution of each and every Manu, the next Manu comes in order along with his descendants who rule over the different planets. But the 7 famous sages and demigods like Indra and their followers, such as the Gandharvas, all appear simultaneously with Manu. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. So Brahma, who is the first created living entity who's born from the navel of Vishnu, he has 14 Manus, 14 of them. And so everything is really, the word systematic, really, everything is very systematic in the creation of the material world. Translation: in the creation during Brahma's day, the 3 planetary systems, Swarga, Martya, and Patala, resolve, and the inhabitants, including the lower animals, human beings, demigods, and Pitas, appear and disappear in terms of their fruitive activities. In each and every change of Manu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears by manifesting his internal potency in different incarnations as Manu and others. Thus he maintains the universe by discovered power. Isn't that interesting? Discovered power. Because in any case, whoever is in charge, they're taking orders. You know, they're like getting, and each one of us has the Lord in his heart. And even the animals are wandering. The word instinct Prabhupada used. He said, actually this word instinct, it's the Lord dictating in the heart of every living entity. That's instinct. He's saying English language is impersonal, and it takes the Supreme Person out of the equation. This word instinct should be the Lord in the heart. The Lord in the heart is dictating. So discovered power, we are all on discovered power, borrowed power. We're all engaged in whatever we have is coming from God. So this is the last verse that I'll be doing. At the end of the day, under the insignificant portion of the mode of darkness, the powerful manifestation of the universe emerges in the darkness of night by the influence of eternal time. The innumerable living entities remain merged in that dissolution, and everything is silent. This verse is an explanation of the night of Brahma, which is the effect of the influence of time in touch with an insignificant portion of the modes of material nature in darkness. The dissolution of the 3 worlds is effected by the incarnation of darkness, Rudra represented by the fire of eternal time which blazes over the 3 worlds. These 3 worlds are known as Bhu, Bhuva, and Sva, Patala, Martya, and Svarga. The innumerable living entities merge into that dissolution, which appears to be the dropping of the curtain of the scene in the Supreme Lord's energy, and so everything becomes silent. So this is, we've just had kind of a nutshell look at like creation, you know, and in one of when the Lord manifests the material worlds, they come out through the pores in his body, and in each one of those creations, there's unlimited numbers of creations. Each one of them has a Lord Brahma that is born, or the first created living entity within that bubble of creation. So it's very beautiful. Lord Brahma, even there's a pastime where he becomes overwhelmed and he's not realizing the supremacy of the Lord, and he tests the Lord. Of course, he becomes very humble. He definitely realizes he made a big mistake, because the Lord sometimes comes in a very sweet and playful form, and we can easily not understand that he's all powerful, because he likes to play as a sweet personality and doesn't just want to be the king. God likes to also have intimate loving intimate relationships with his devotees. That's preferable, just like a corporate person or the president of the United States. He may have grandchildren, grandchildren like a horse and having him ride on his back, but he doesn't see the other secretaries of state or the other heads of countries don't see that relationship with him. He has personal loving relationships with his family and friends. But when he's in the office, he means business. So this is God at home with his family and friends. Today is a very special day, and so I wanted to read you a little bit about the marriage of Srimati Tulsi Devi to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because that is also this day. It's there's a particular pastime where Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Devi, she desired to have Krishna as her husband. So the Lord appeared and said, I will grant you that wish when it is my time, when the time is right. And so the Lord he's there again and again in the scriptures. You'll see when there's the balance of creation has gone awry and the demons are in control. The demigods go. There's a picture we have at the top of the stairs where the demigods are at the ocean of milk praying to the Supreme Lord like, oh my God, everything has gone to hell in a handbasket. Help us out, please. And they're there praying for his help. Please, 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 please help us. The buck stops with you and we need help. And he knows past, present, and future, so he knows exactly what the strengths and weaknesses, and he knows how to defeat an enemy in any and every case. He's in the heart of it. He's the best spy. He knows every little thing. So this is another one of those scenarios where one of his great devotees has taken on the playful role as a demon, Shankachuta. And he's subjugated the whole universe because, hey, when you play with your best friends and your best friends take on, like, the role of the bad guy, it's much more fun. And I know when I was a kid, I liked to be the bad guy because it was way, way more fun to be the robber or, the Indian. We'd play cowboys and Indians. We'd always want to be the bad guy because it's fun to escape and to enact like a bellicose kind of situation. So God only plays even with his friends like that. So this is a situation where Shankachuta, who is his friend, is now subjugating the universe, and he knows he's gotten a benediction. So he's now at war with the demigods. He's got the whole universe. I'm just going to jump right into the war part, because otherwise it's a whole book. And I might need to, because we only have 5 minutes, so I might just tell you the story. What happened was Shiva was doing battle with Shankachuta, and he wasn't actually doing really well. He was having a hard time. But Krishna knew that Shankachuta had gotten a benediction that he could never be defeated if his wife was chaste. And so he knew that his wife, before she got married, had a desire for him as a husband. And he had gone and said, yes, when the time is right, I'll satisfy your desire. So what he did when the demigods came to him and said, help us out, please. He knew past, present, and future. So he said, okay, great, I'll just show up on the battlefield, because he knew this was his dear friend, and his dear friend would give him anything and everything. He knew that. He knew that. So he came to him on the battlefield and he's asked me, can you please give me that? He had this beautiful kavacha, a pendant, a talisman. It was a protective talisman, and the boon was given, and he got that talisman when he got that boon. So he said, certainly he gave that to him, his valuable protection. And so the Lord left the battlefield, and he went right to his wife, and as he was leaving that battlefield, he put the talisman on his chest, and he shape-shifted to the exact look of Shankachuta. And he was wearing his beautiful ornament too. And she was chaste beyond belief. She was such a good wife to her husband, Shankachuta. He would have never been defeated. And even though she had this desire, as she wanted to have Krishna as her husband, now she was married, a married lady, and she had a wonderful husband. So Krishna appeared on the scene looking exactly like her husband, because Krishna is known to be the cheat of the cheats. If you want to be cheated by the best cheater of all, then line up to get cheated by God, because hey, it's actually the best deal going. So he came to her with that ornament looking just like her husband, and she was so pleased. My husband's come from the battlefield, and they spent a night of amorous joy. But she said something wasn't exactly right. Something was not exactly right. And after this night of amorous joy, Lord Shiva was able to kill Shankachuta because his wife had been unchaste. So she was very upset with Krishna for this, and Krishna was saying, but you desired me as a husband. You did desire me as a husband. I am satisfying your desire. I know it wasn't exactly according to your plan, but hey, I did say at some point you would get this benediction. And so she, with great feeling, she said, your heart is just like a stone. And he said, that is so true. And he said, there is a river, the Gandaki River, that will be your expansion. And this river is in Nepal. You will expand yourself because you have not only desired me as a husband, you have desired me as a child. You have desired all sorts of relationships. You wanted to be my mother. You wanted to be my wife. You wanted to have every relationship with me. And at this moment, I will satisfy all your desires. You will expand yourself as this river, the Gandaki River, and there will be beautiful stones that come from that river, and they will be called Shalagram Shilas. So from the womb of the Gandaki River will come the beautiful stones of Shalagram that will be worshipped with the Tulsi plant. And you will expand yourself also into the Tulsi plant. In fact, those little sticks that you had the ghee wicks on, they were Tulsi sticks. And we chant on Tulsi beads. We have Tulsi beads, Tulsi mala, Kanti beads. We're always surrounding ourselves with Tulsi. The plants are there. We offer the flowers on all of the offerings to the Lord. Tulsi is, wherever Tulsi is present, Krishna is pleased. So he said, wherever my worship will take place, you will be there as my wife in the form of the Tulsi plant. And so this evening, tonight, we celebrate, this is called Tulsi Viviha, and this is the marriage of Tulsi with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And according to the cycles of time, there is another epic Leela where the Lord agrees to go to Patala Loka and live with Bali Maharaj as his gatekeeper. And that's a whole other beautiful, lovely pastime, and we don't have time to discuss. But Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, said, you've agreed to be his gatekeeper, but you should give us some time too. So tonight is the night that the Lord comes up from being the gatekeeper at Bali Maharaj's kingdom. He comes back, and it's really corresponding with the sun coming up above the equator. There's everything is cyclical and systematic, and it's in sync with the universal creation, just as we've read here. When the sun comes up over the equator and Vishnu comes back, then he agrees to be present at the sacrifices, and this is the first day of the beginning of the marriage season, because the Lord will be present in the fire sacrifices. But there's this little period where he's down in Patala and he's missing. And that's why Lakshmi said, well, wait a second, you have to be in our world too. So this marks the marriage season, and if you're in India, you will see cartloads of things being taken here and there and bands playing. Lots and lots of weddings start to happen right now. This is a big deal. It marks the wedding season. So tonight we're going to be celebrating the marriage of Tulsi to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. Are any questions or comments? Yes, Dr. Haridas.
So, we hear about these great personalities and their long lives. How come we don't see them?
Well, Srila Prabhupada did tell us that when there was some kirtan, he said, oh, Lord Shiva came or Lord Brahma came. We may not have those subtle eyes, we have earthy eyes. But as it is saying in the scriptures here, for the self-realized, for those who are very purified by engaging in this sadhana bhakti process, they become so subtle, they have the mystic siddhis to be able to perceive these things. And in a sense, Prabhupada said, be careful who comes to the temple. Whoever is a guest that comes, you don't know. It could be a demigod in disguise. So we should be very cordial to the guests who come to the temple. Yes.
Have you heard that Radharani cursed Sudama to be Shankarchuda?
Yes.
But then I've also heard that Shankarchuda is an Angsha of Vishnu, his Vishnu Tattva. Have you heard both of those? I'm trying to figure out
yes.
which is which. Is
I
it Vishnu?
can't tell you, but I have heard both. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just.
I've also heard that in different millenniums, it's slightly different. Just like Lord Brahma, if there isn't a qualified personality, the Lord literally expands himself to be Lord Brahma. So it could be in one millennium, he's definitely an Amsh, and another millennium, he's, yeah.
And then if he is Sudama, then how does that work? Sudama marries Tulsi. Well, I guess it doesn't matter so much, but it's just usually like any form of Lakshmi that comes down is married to a form of Vishnu. Sita, Ram, Lakshmi, Narayana.
Well, there's the Amsh.
Yeah, but then Sudama, but in the case of the millennium, whichever it is in which it's Sudama, how does that work? Sudama marrying? Because that
I
never
cannot
happens
say.
with Lakshmi.
It must be Amsh.
Mm.
Has to be Amsh.
Well,
There's a system. Hare Krishna. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all for coming. Hare Krishna.